Hey everybody, it's Mrs. M coming at you with another First Chapter Friday from the Main Student Book Award series. This one is called Wild Ride by Keith Calabrese. Let's get right into it. Here goes the blurb. The grown-ups are out of town, and for Charlie Decker that means one thing: a last epic weekend with her older brother Greg before he leaves for college. Bring on the burgers, milkshakes, and movie marathons. So when Greg ditches Charlie for a date night downtown, she's kind of crushed. Worse, he gets their mom's boyfriend's super expensive, super rare Mustang towed and needs Charlie's help to get it back. What's an unsupervised 7th grader to do? Grab her best friend, sneak into the city, pull off the ultimate car heist, and make Greg pay, of course. Only now the Mustang has a new feature in the trunk: a stowaway named Mitch who's guarding a world-changing secret. And a pair of seriously big, seriously scary dudes are after him. What follows is an all-night race around the clock as Charlie and her friends try to dodge the twin terrors, save Mitch, fix a sibling squabble, and get the Mustang home before morning. So in this book there is a interview. It says, the following redacted interview is the only surviving document related to a series of highly classified events that have been dubbed informally and somewhat amusingly by the Senate Intelligence Committee as the Mustang Redundancy. Bum bum. And I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I am going to show it to you, because look, it's got all of this redacted. Kind of reminds me of Attack of the Black Rectangles. But they have all this redacted, and this is like an interview between witness number 2 and 2 special agents. So that's something you're just going to have to check out on your own. Here goes the first chapter. According to the United States government, what you are about to read never happened. Friday, 3:35 p.m. On Friday afternoon, shortly before the final bell, Charlie Decker received detention for mouthing off to her teacher. Charlie didn't get in trouble much. It kind of caught everybody by surprise. Wade was waiting for her when she finally got out. He was trying not to smirk, but he wasn't trying very hard. Don't start, Charlie said. At least Mr. Benino didn't keep you that long, Wade offered. He shouldn't have kept me at all, Charlie protested. Wade shrugged. What? Charlie, seriously, Wade said. You kind of asked for it. What part of don't start aren't you getting? Fine, Wade said, dropping it. See any familiar faces in the big house? Parker Nadal was in there, too. I don't know what for. I do, Wade chuckled. Really? Who was he impersonating this time? Not who, Wade corrected. What? Remember the T-Rex from Jurassic Park? Sure, Charlie said. Wait, he didn't. He did. During passing period, you could hear it all the way down B Hall. No way, Charlie laughed. Was it good? Good enough to make a bunch of 6th graders cry. He does have a gift. Yeah, Wade agreed. But hey, you mouthed off to the nicest teacher in school. Now that's hardcore. Charlie gave him a look, but couldn't hold it for long. Everybody needs at least one friend who had no qualms about telling you when you're full of it. Charlie had long ago realized Wade Harris would always be that friend for her. She just wished he wasn't so good at it. It isn't a bad word, she huffed defiantly. Sure, Charlie said. Just don't say anything in front of Greg, okay? Of course, Wade said as they started walking home. We still on then, for new fur oaks and everything? You bet, Charlie said, brightening a bit. Greg promised. Greg was Charlie's older brother. It was more than that, though. They were pals, always had been. There were 5.5 years between them. Greg was 18, and she was 12, but he never treated her like it. He treated her more like his partner in crime. He was always there when she needed him, always had her back. This year, though, everything was changing. Greg was a senior in high school, and soon he'd be off to college. Charlie was already starting to miss him. Greg wasn't around the house much anymore. Lately, he was always out with his friends, or at basketball practice, or with Marissa. Mostly with Marissa. And even when Greg was around, Marissa was usually there too. They'd been dating all year, and Greg was totally moony for her. She even came to family game night. It was bad enough when their mom's boyfriend Derek had started showing up. Now game night was practically a couples thing. What was the point anymore? Take 2 weeks ago. They were playing Scrabble. Charlie, Greg, Mom, and Derek. Marissa wasn't there, but she may as well have been because Greg was texting her like every 2 minutes. Anyway, it was Charlie's turn, and she had 2 Fs, an A, a D, a T, an I, and an R. She used them all, a natural bingo, and a double word score to boot, but who's counting? And did Greg even notice? Please, he barely looked up from his phone. Everything was changing. For the last week, it had been just the 2 of them in the house. Their mom and Derek were in Hawaii for vacation, but they'd be getting back tomorrow. At first, Charlie had been looking forward to this week, just her and her brother. She hoped it would give them a chance to hang out like they used to, but it wasn't working out that way. One way or another, her brother always seemed to be out the door. He and Marissa had been off doing stuff together every day since Mom and Derek left. They were always busy, always on the go. Charlie got to tag along sometimes to watch Marissa's track meet or Greg's doubleheader. Whoopee, like that counted. And when Greg was around, he wasn't there, not really. Hanging out at home made him all twitchy and distracted, like he was trapped or grounded, and he barely noticed Charlie anymore, even when they were in the same room together. But tonight was going to be different. Charlie was going to make sure of it. Greg had promised to take her and Wade to New Farouk's for burgers and shakes. The diner's full name was New Farouk's Famous Ice Cream and Brazier, and they made the best milkshakes in Chicago. The burgers were good too, but it was really about the milkshakes. At least that was what Charlie thought. It was her favorite place to eat, and the kind of hangout thing Charlie hoped they'd be doing all week. Then, after New Farouk's, the three of them would come back to the house and watch their favorite movies all night, just like they used to do when Greg was in middle school and Charlie and Wade were just in grade school. The coolest movies. Movies they had been too young to watch. That's what made Greg such an awesome big brother. Like Purple Rain in the first two Alien movies, but you had to stop after that. And Galaxy Quest and Hot Fuzz. Charlie had the whole night planned out. Tonight was going to be like old times, like it used to be. Tonight was going to be the best. Wade and Charlie walked through the garage on their way to Charlie's house. They came in the side door and Charlie dropped her bag on the kitchen island. Wade lingered behind in the doorway. Man, Wade said, gazing adoringly at Derek's Mustang. That's some car. You say that every time. It bears repeating every time. Greg was upstairs. It sounded like he was on the phone. You still good to stay over? Charlie asked. No problem, Wade said as he joined her at the island. It's a gap weekend. Wade's parents were divorced. They were also both lawyers. They shared Wade through a joint custody agreement that was so complicated it required a computer algorithm to enforce. But with all the back and forth, there were bound to be gaps. Misread emails, blind spots in the code, days when neither Wade's mother nor father technically had custody of Wade. But since his parents never actually talked to each other, no one really noticed. The first time it happened, Wade hadn't said anything. He'd just gone to stay with his Uncle Terry in the city and waited for someone, his parents, their lawyers, the algorithm, to figure out the mistake. That was 2 years ago. Wade didn't mind much. He always had a blast with his Uncle Terry. Besides, no one asked him whether he wanted a stupid computer program to tell him where to eat and sleep and do his homework. So why would his parents help micromanage his life? Greg came downstairs. He was still in baseball clothes, talking excitedly on his phone. No, he said. I want to wait and surprise Mom and Derek when they get back tomorrow. Yeah, okay, see you soon. He ended the call and put the phone back in his pocket. Hey, you're home, he said, noticing Charlie and Wade. Where were you guys? It's later than usual. Loitering, Charlie said. Light trespassing, Wade added. How was practice? Charlie asked to get them off the subject. Oh, fine. Coach let us out early on account of yesterday's doubleheader. Never mind that, though. Guess what? His eyes looked big, like he just pounded 2 iced coffees. What? Charlie asked warily. He held up his phone. I just found out. I got into the University of British Columbia. Charlie felt somebody had just knocked the wind out of her. In Canada? She managed. Hey, that's great, said Wade, reading the acceptance email on Greg's phone. Congratulations. Thanks. It's my first choice. I'm so stoked. Wade sat down on one of the stools while Greg gushed about how excellent UBC was going to be. Charlie sat too, but she didn't say anything. She hadn't known he was looking at schools that were thousands of miles away. She stared into space for a good 10 minutes while the boys prattled on until she heard her brother say to Wade, So, you're coming with us to New Farouk's? Yeah, if that's cool. Absolutely, Greg said. We need to celebrate, right? He looked over at his sister. Charlie? Huh? New Farouk's. Still want to go? Definitely, Charlie said, perking up a little. Great, let me shower and get changed. Then as soon as Marissa gets here, we'll head out. Great, Charlie said. Then, wait, what? Come see me if you want to check out Wild Ride. It seems like it's gonna be a wild ride.